Fox 61 News at 5 starts now.
Right now at 5, it's primary day here in Connecticut. We're following all the races and have everything you need to know about the candidates.
I think it's extremely important that we teach our children the importance of voting.
And tracking the turnout at the polls, we're hearing from voters about why they came out to cast their ballots today.
Primary night vote totals in real time as they come into the newsroom. I'm Keith McGilvery. I'll be at the big board following it all night long.
Plus, fallout from former President Donald Trump after his Mar-a-Lago estate was raided by the FBI. What local leaders are saying about the move.
And it's day 8 of a heat wave, so when will it all end? Meteorologist Ryan Breton is on the Weather Watch.
But we start with primary day here in Connecticut. Fox 61 tracking all the races for you all night long. Thanks for joining us here on the news at 5. I'm Ben Goldman.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. 2 big races to watch today, the U.S. Senate and Secretary of the State. We have live team coverage all across the state following the biggest races to watch. We're checking in on the voter turnout before the polls close for the night as well.
But first, let's go to meteorologist Ryan Breton. Bit of a hot day for anyone going out to cast their ballot today, but it looks like some relief is in sight. Hey there, Ryan.
That is sure. Ben and Sarah, good afternoon to you. Hi, everybody. A heat advisory remains in effect until 8 o'clock tonight, but that is it. Today marks the end of the high heat and the humidity. There is an air quality alert for the 4 southern counties until 11 o'clock tonight, meaning those of you who are really sensitive to days like today, a good idea to hang inside. There is relief on the way, not too much in the way of rain at the moment, just some scattered storms. One that's moving right off the shoreline of West Haven and Milford. You can probably see the lightning out over the Sound right now. And a couple of more downpours in southeastern and central Connecticut. We have one that's just crossing the river in Haddam and East Haddam right now, a downpour here, and a couple of more that have flared up in southeast Connecticut, one going through New London, and we have another one on the south side of Lebanon right now with a good downpour, but no thunder or lightning showing up over Franklin at the moment. It is still 92 in Hartford, 88 in Chester, 86 in New Haven, maybe a little bit of rain-cooled air with that thunderstorm going by. Still very humid right now, but the humidity is on the way down, and the temperatures will be on the way down tonight, too. We'll have low temperatures in the upper 60s to around 70 by tomorrow morning, and highs tomorrow only making it into the mid-80s. We'll talk about how long the comfy weather sticks around coming up in just a bit.
All right, turning to the turnout this primary day, we're keeping tabs on the polls and how things are going.
Fox 61's Tony Terzi joining us now in West Haven with a look at how it's going there. Tony?
Live here at the Forest School, one of 10 voting locations here in the city of West Haven. And from the office of the Secretary of the State, no major issues statewide as a result of voter turnout. And part of that is because there's not been much voter turnout, so it's easier to put out little fires. While many voting sites had more fans than voters, those who showed up came with a purpose.
Our duty is to vote and to choose people who we feel would do the best job for all of us, not just some of us.
I want speed bumps put on our street. Yeah. And I've been asking for this for a couple of years. I mean, it will deter people from, racing down the street because they go over 50 miles an hour.
It's important that anybody who's endorsed by Trump doesn't get in. So that's why I'm here, to make sure that doesn't happen.
And at least where West Haven is concerned, Republicans are showing up.
In West Haven, overall, the Democrats outnumber the Republicans 4.5 to 1 on the registration rolls. And we've been pretty evenly divided between Republicans and Democrats today.
In terms of the voter breakdown by party.
You got China telling our president what they're going to do. Really? The men and women that fought for this country do not want to see that kind of attitude.
I'm concerned about the issues, the border, the economy, and other issues, which is pressured upon, especially the middle class, working class.
Lots of good thoughts from the folks here in West Haven and across the state. And if you're thinking, you know what, I haven't registered to vote, I think I'm going to do it before 8 o'clock tonight and vote in the primary. You can't do that. That's not something you can do for a primary. Now, you can register day of during the general election in November, but not today. We're live here in West Haven. Tony Terzi, Fox 61 News.
All right, good to know, Tony. Yeah, just you have to wait until November. Thank you. One of tonight's top races, the U.S. Senate race to decide who will face off against Senator Richard Blumenthal in November.
3 candidates are right now on the ballot. Republican Party endorsed them as Claritas, Leora Levy, who was recently endorsed by former President Donald Trump, and Peter Lumaj.
Fox 61's Emma Wolfhorst joins us live in New Canaan with a look at how Leora Levy's campaign is going tonight. Hi, Emma.
Good evening to you both from this New Canaan polling place. Voters here casting their ballots. Leora Levy hopes in her favor to take on Democrat incumbent Richard Blumenthal for U.S. Senate. Throughout this race, Levy argued she's the only true conservative, claiming her opponents Themis Claritas and Peter Lumaj are working together. The RNC committeewoman and Cuban native prides herself on lack of elected experience. She did serve as ambassador to Chile, nominated in 2019 by then-President Donald Trump.
I'm where the Republican voters of Connecticut are, and especially what happened last night has motivated people to come out and vote.
Now, Levy's referencing that FBI search of President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate Monday night, allegedly part of an investigation into whether he took classified records from the White House. Trump endorsed Levy Friday and hosted a joint tele-rally with her last night. Levy's campaign said that rally garnered over 32,000 supporters, and Levy feels his support will be enough to propel her to the front of this U.S. Senate primary. Reporting live in New Canaan, Emma Wolfhorst, Fox 61 News.
All right, Emma, thank you. Well, our primary team coverage continues, breaking down all the races for candidates and for you. Send it out to Fox 61's Matt Caron, live in Trumbull, with what you need to know about Themis Claritas. Hi there, Matt.
Hi, guys. We are live here in Trumbull, as you mentioned, at the Daniels Farm School, where U.S. candidate for Senate Themis Claritas, a Republican, spent about an hour here. She just left a couple of minutes ago. She was meeting and greeting with voters as they were entering the polling place, trying to gain that all-important last-minute support. She was also handing out these index cards. It says she's fighting for lower taxes, stronger borders, and law enforcement. Also says at the bottom there, if you can see it, that she was endorsed by the Connecticut Republican Party, which means you're going to see her name at the top of the ticket. They also put that on the back of the index card just so you know where to find her name. But let's now take a closer look at this race. Themis Claritas was widely considered to be the early frontrunner in this race. She did get the endorsement of the state Republican Party of Connecticut. But then Leora Levy, the challenger, recently getting that key endorsement from former President Donald Trump. There's some palpable concern here within the Claritas campaign on what that could do, although you wouldn't know it by talking to Themis Claritas, which we did live during the Fox 61 News at 4 o'clock. Here's what she had to say.
Well, it wasn't really much of a surprise. She had been the Trump candidate all along. She'd been talking about how she was the Trump candidate. And certainly some people will pay attention to that. But the reality is this is the Connecticut race. I have been honored to have hundreds of endorsements of mayors, first selectmen, Republican town committee chairs, state central committee chairs, majority of a lot of those, almost all the state reps and state senators, former chairmen, all sorts of people all over Connecticut who know what Connecticut needs.
Claritas has tried to brand herself here as the most electable Republican and the most likely to beat Senator Blumenthal because she's the only candidate who's won an election before. But is she conservative enough to win a primary where the unenrolled and independent voters don't vote? That's the question. One thing that may work in her favor, her two opponents may end up splitting the most conservative votes. And my colleague Tony Black is live right now in Norwich with one of those opponents, Peter Lumaj. Tony?
Yeah, hey, Matt, we are at Peter Lumaj's campaign watch party here in Norwich, and we're joined with the candidate. So, Peter, a couple hours before the polls close, how are you feeling?
We're feeling pretty good, actually. We did a couple of, I think this is the sixth stop that we're making for today. We've been to various precincts, and the reception is pretty good. Kind of, disappointed with the turnout so far. It should be greater, but it is what it is. But we're feeling pretty good.
What have you heard from people heading out to the polls?
Look, the greatest concerns that they have is safety, security, and the economy. And everyone is identifying with those issues. I mean, we have chaos and lawlessness in our cities. The economy is completely in shambles, and I don't think anyone can argue that you can fix the economy unless you understand the Federal Reserve, the currency depreciation, inflation that we're facing. And I think that's where I'm really appealing to the voters when I explain that, yes, we do have a problem with the currency and the inflation.
What did you say to voters as they were going to cast their ballot today?
Well, I greeted them. I talked to them, and I said, look, you got a pretty good option over here between a center-left candidate, which is Thomas Claridis, who is pro-abortion, is against the Second Amendment, or Peter Lumaj, who is a consistent conservative that has never changed his positions for the past 10 years. And then you have the other candidate who's been changing positions since 2012 to present, any time that was politically expedient for her. So I think they understand that the voters are very well educated. They understand that, I'm a solid conservative, and I think I'm going to get a chance tonight.
Talk to us about your campaign up to this point. What were your efforts across the state to get these voters?
We have traveled all over the state. I've visited pretty much every city, every town. I have been almost to every RTC Republican town committee. I have delivered, I don't even know the number of speeches that I've delivered so far. I've been on various news outlets. Today, actually, and I was on Fox News at 4 o'clock in the morning. Then I went and voted. So I put over 130,000 miles in my car doing this. This started last year to present. So it's been worth it. I'm not complaining about it. I think that America is worth fighting for, and that's why I'm doing this, because I'm really concerned about what I call the failed socialist ideology that is coming to the United States, and I consider that to be evil. And I think that if we allow it to be implemented here, that will be dangerous for this country, and that's why I'm fighting so hard against it.
Okay. Peter, thank you, and good luck to you. All right, guys, we are live in Norwich. We'll send it back to you as we continue at the watch party here We're for now live in Norwich. Tony Black, Fox 61 News.
Long night ahead. All right, Tony, thank you very much.